You're tuning in to the O&P Check-in, an SPS podcast. I'm Brendan Erickson, a regional sales manager at SPS. This show brings you the latest happenings in the O&P industry. We're unpacking trends and news from this tight-knit orthotics and prosthetics community. Co-hosting with me today is SPS Sales Account Manager and Certified Prosthetist-Orthotist, Pierre Masson. Welcome, Pierre.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Brendan.
Yeah, buddy, let's do it. Let's get started.
Hello, producer Ellen here for a sponsored ad from our friends at Amona. Amona's Adapt Air breast prosthesis has won 5 global design and innovation awards and earns rave reviews from the women who wear it. With its unique air chamber technology, it's the most versatile breast form in your fitting room, adjusting with their day-to-day body changes, like swelling from lymphedema or medication. It's one more way Amona is empowering women after breast surgery. Find Amona in the supplier section on spsco.com or visit the links in our show notes.
The Sport Elite Combo Rehabilitator by OCSI Guardian Brace pairs 2 orthoses to improve gait mechanics and strength for patients who present with lower limb weakness. Senior Clinical Education Specialist Liz Hillen explores this dynamic duo's unique features in the most recent episode of The Clinical Minute. Follow the link in our show notes to discover more. Today, we're pleased to welcome the newly elected president of the Association of Children's Prosthetic-Orthotic Clinics Board, Dr. Phoebe Scott-Wyard. Phoebe is also a rehabilitation medicine specialist at Rady's Children's Hospital in San Diego and an associate professor at UC San Diego School of Medicine. Welcome, Phoebe. Thanks for joining us.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I'm originally from San Diego, so I'm very jealous that you are there and I am not. But thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're going to really look into having you give us some insight into the great work that ACPOC does, to raise the standard of prosthetic care for children, all across the U.S. Could you start us off by sharing a little bit about yourself and how you became involved in rehabilitation and, the O&P field in general?
Sure. I knew from before even I graduated from college that I wanted to work with children specifically. And as I was going through medical school, that became even more obvious. And a friend of mine in my second year of medical school said, you should check out physiatry. And my response was, psychiatry? What? No. And he was like, no, physical medicine and rehab. Like, you'd love that. You'd be good at it. And I said, no, I'm doing pediatrics. He said, you could probably do both. And so I researched it and I did a rotation in rehabilitation medicine at Casa Colina outside of Los Angeles and just fell in love with working with people with physical disabilities. And then went on to did a rotation at Cincinnati Children's Hospital and fell in love with pediatric rehab in particular. So it was kind of straight from there. During my residency, I chose to do a grand rounds on depression in amputees. And as I was researching, I came across these fantastic camps online for children with limb differences. And so I somehow got permission to leave my residency program for a week and go volunteer at one in Tennessee and just fell in love with these kids. I had so much fun and learned so much in like one weekend that I was hooked. And so that kind of became my area of passion, I guess. And so my first job out of training was to take over the limb clinic at Shriners Hospital in Los Angeles. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful journey from there.
That's incredible. It's great to hear about your background. I know this year at the ACPOC meeting, you did talk about all the camps that are available out there to go to. And if we have time at the end of this meeting, I would like to talk to more about that because I think it was great to hear about them all. But let's not dive into now our topic of the day. So if you can explain to our listeners, what is ACPOC? Who's not familiar with it?
Sure. I mean, the name is kind of unwieldy. We all agree. It's the Association of Children's Prosthetic and Orthotic Clinics. This is an organization that's been around for more than 50 years. It started with a group of people, clinicians who got together and said, we are not doing what we could be doing for kids with limb differences. We need to do more. They started this kind of research team that was across the whole country, and it stemmed out of a group from Shriners Hospitals, but obviously it has exploded in the last 50 years to include people from all different kinds of backgrounds. It is the only pediatric multidisciplinary medical society that deals with children with musculoskeletal differences. So it's not just children with limb differences, acquired and congenital amputations, but also children with other diagnoses that affect their musculoskeletal system, like cerebral palsy, spina bifida, spinal muscular atrophy, muscular dystrophy, skeletal dysplasia. So I love that it comes from this team perspective. So it's truly about everybody on the team working together and promoting research and innovations in this field, which is definitely sorely missed. So you've got physicians alongside of prosthetists, orthotists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, researchers, and we're all working together to see how we can promote this field and create more opportunities for dialogue.
Oh, it's pretty amazing. And I bet it's really fun, and everybody has that same sense of passion that you do. It's such a special, rewarding facet of medicine that you guys work in. Could you tell us about like the impact that ACPOC has made on this unique population of children and adolescents and even young adults with, say musculoskeletal difference or all the different ailments that you had just mentioned?
I think it's definitely one of the leading places to come for, first of all, expertise. Because as I'm sure you know, there's a lot of people that may see some children, but that's not their main focus of practice, or they might see lots of children, but not a lot of children that have these particular issues. And so it's a place where you can come and hear from all the other experts and kind of collate all that information together so that we're changing the outcome for everybody all over the country and actually all over the world, because we definitely have people that come to the conference from other countries and present their research. So it's really fun to get to do that. It is also a great place for trainees. I've definitely promoted it within my specialty among our fellows and residents to come and learn, because when you're out practicing in one particular place, you might not get to see or hear a lot of the research that's happening around the country, and you don't have as much of that collaboration. So this is that place where you can come and get that true collaboration that can forward innovation and better patient care, honestly, for a lot of these kids. I think a lot of other medical societies and conferences have like a few lectures on pediatrics or a few topics or a few, research studies, but they don't have, it's not the main focus of the conference where you can go and get all of this education and just being able to network. I don't know everything, and I am constantly reaching out to people I've met through the conference to say, hey, I have this problem with this one patient. What do you think? What would you recommend, or what would you do? And getting to kind of collate all of that knowledge, I think, is so unique.
Yeah, and I bet the collaboration is just awesome. We talk about it a lot, how unique our profession is, because every single patient presents in a different way. And even though the textbook may say X is the solution, you really got to dig in with people that have experienced it and seen unique presentations. And what a great place to do it. It sounds awesome.
My favorite parts of the conference, and Pierre can attest to this, is that your name tag literally just has your name and where maybe the city you work in or the place that you live. It does not have your credentials. We do that on purpose. We make sure every year we have to remind our organizers, don't put credentials on the name tags, because it fosters all of this amazing collaboration without now I'm not going to talk to you because you're not in my specialty. We might not speak the same language. Like, you just get all of this really wonderful interactions where you have these fantastic collaborative conversations with people without prejudging what is their experience coming into the conversation.
I agree with you 100%. It's nice that there's no credentials on the name tags. And ACPOC is one of my favorite meetings to attend as a practitioner because the collaboration there. And one of my favorite parts about ACPOC is when people present their challenging cases. And that's kind of a live thing. Like, if you I have a challenge case, I can present it, get some photos or whatever, even just go up and talk about it. And everyone works together as a team. Egos are put aside. It's just a nice experience. And I know we just wrapped up the 2024 in April in Denver, which was another great experience. And it's nice because the ACPOC meeting, I feel, also it's a little family. It's the same people every year coming. There's a lot of working together between everybody. But I would like to grow it some more. And I always try to tell all my customers I see about ACPOC, I say it's one of the best meetings out there because everyone's there, everyone's together, working to do what's right for the patient. Can you just share with our listeners a little bit more like what they could expect if they attend a meeting, the one coming up? And I think the next one's in Dallas next year, correct?
Yeah, Dallas in April 2025. Obviously, we're excited to have people submit their original research, or we like to do symposia where it's a multidisciplinary panel. For example, this past year, we had symposia on talking about like giving bad news. We've done ones in the past regarding arthrogryposis and skeletal dysplasias. And so you're hearing from people from all different specialties kind of giving their perspective, not just a medical talk or a prosthetic talk or an orthotic talk. So it's really melding of all the minds of how we can work together to improve patient care for these kids. And, we always love the challenging cases because you've got a room full of experts and there's always somebody who's like, oh, I took care of a kid like that, or this is what I tried and it failed completely. But, and so you get to kind of I did a challenging case this past year and my idea completely failed, but I wanted to present it because I feel like if we don't talk about the things that we try and fail, then how do we learn from that? And so I think those will be some exciting things. The Hector K speaker has been confirmed. It is Dr. Hank Chambers, which we're really excited about. For those that don't know him, he is an orthopedist who's got decades of experience working with children with cerebral palsy. So he's going to talk about kind of his experience and kind of the then and now of what's changed in the surgical management of children with cerebral palsy. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun conference. We've got the local team there at Texas Scottish Rite, who's definitely going to be doing some different symposia and presentations. So I think it's going to be a really fun conference.
That's so cool. I really love that you said that people share their failures. And I think failure sometimes can be, your biggest asset in learning and finding the path to the goal. Like one of my favorite sayings is Michael Jordan always says, you miss 100% of the shots you never take. And it sounds like you guys share this and everybody can learn from your mistake. And that mistake then turns into, an education piece for everybody because you're collaborating with everyone. So that's really cool. I love that you mentioned it. And you mentioned the show. Outside of the show, what is next for ACPOC? And are there other ways listeners can get involved?
Absolutely. We are super excited this year. We just opened a Doc Matter community, which if you're not familiar, Doc Matter is a hosting website. It's an app that you can log into and it's free with your ACPOC membership. And so what it does is it allows you access to a community, the ACPOC community. It's HIPAA compliant. You can either post general questions. You can post patient like videos and photos, x-rays, any kind of difficult cases that you're having and kind of get to seed all of these experts' opinions. I've posted multiple cases already this year and gotten great responses and super helpful advice. Also, we do monthly webinars and those webinars are recorded. So you do get continuing education credits for them, or you can listen to them later. David Rotter did one on fitting running legs. We've had ones on the difference between being a mentor and being a sponsor, one on toe walking, like panel discussion on like psychosocial issues with children with congenital or acquired limb difference. And so it's just a fun place where we can continue these conversations. And maybe there was a talk during our conference that kind of had to get, was shorter because of time, but they really have an hour's worth of material. So we can actually kind of do a reboot of that lecture and do more of a deep dive during those webinars. We are always looking for volunteers. So if anybody is passionate about this population as we are and wants to get involved, we've got lots of committees that need wonderful volunteers. So there's lots of opportunities for people to get involved.
Do you need to be a specialist to be a member, or can any, I guess it probably have to be a certified orthotist or certified prosthetist or both, correct? I mean, is there any requirements to become a member?
Not necessarily. It is typically medical professionals. So that could be a nurse or a social worker. I know in my clinic, my nurse, my social worker, my occupational therapist, physical therapist, my surgeon, myself as the rehab physician, my partner who's the other rehab physician, we are all members. So there's clinic bundle memberships where you get a discount for multiple people joining. So if you have a practice where you have maybe there's a prosthetics technician and a CPO and an OT or, whomever, and you want them to be members, they can all be members. It's not really for people who aren't in the medical profession. But as long as they work within this field in some, way, then we would welcome them to be involved.
If someone's not a member, but they want to watch one of those webinars, can they pay a fee just to watch the one, or they have to be a member to watch?
Nope, you can piecemeal it. I believe it's $50 per webinar at this point if you don't want to be a member. So maybe the lecture's coming through that you're like, ooh, this looks really good, and I want everyone in my office to see it. You can pay the $50 and be able to watch it.
ACPOC is a great association, great group of people. And I know their website has a great resources available. What are a few other things our listeners can expect if they go to acpoc.org to see?
Yeah, so we have lots of resources for both clinicians and for families too. So if you're seeing a family, especially small child or newborn, and the parents have lots of questions, there's a wonderful parental resources that we've kind of constantly updating that are on there. We do have a clinic listing. So for those folks who are members of ACPOC and they have multiple people in their clinics that are members, so we know that they're people who are really invested in this population, they are listed by state. So if you're looking to refer a family, maybe you have someone moving to New Hampshire or somewhere else, and you want to say, oh, what are the clinics in that area? You can look that up, and it'll have a listing of the folks, at least that are really involved in ACPOC, that are also have kind of a dedicated limb difference clinic. There are past conference abstracts on there as well. So if you're like, I went to that lecture and I can't remember what they said, you can go look up that abstract and find out who it was and maybe get in touch with them separately, or you can access the conference agenda ahead of time and see kind of what's coming up if that's something you want to attend.
So I can go back and look at your burnout lecture?
I don't know if the whole lecture's on there, but yeah, you could definitely see the abstract.
You were definitely the trendsetter in that area. It seems like every conference now they talk about burnout, but first time I heard it was with you. Also, I know you talked about, I don't know if you were on the panel that time, this last conference, about the camps. Are all those camps listed on ACPOC's website to get involved in? Because I thought that was a great thing for families to get involved in, to help out with, to volunteer. I mean, the stories you all told were incredible about the camps, and it really motivated me to try next year to figure one of those camps into our schedule for the summer.
Awesome. Yeah, I just came back from Camp No Limits, California in Big Bear, and it was just amazing. We had 28 families attend, and I get to help run the parental support group, which is very near and dear to my heart. It's just such a beautiful experience to see these families get to come together. I mean, don't get me wrong, I can really appreciate camps that are focused on just the kids and letting them just be kids with other kids that are just like them. But the family camps, there's something special about it where families get to collaborate and there was little girl gang. They all had congenital unilateral upper limb difference, and they were so adorable. And it's just so beautiful to get to see that. But yeah, there are camps listed on the ACPOC website for sure. That's a great place to start.
Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, I've got a bit of a rogue question here, and if the answer is no, we can delete this. But I would like to ask about access to care for the children. I know in California right now, the budget is such that Medicaid is possibly going to be getting some cuts to it, which I know through CCS, a lot of the recipients that receive that are on Medi-Cal. Does ACPOC fight or, try to provide better access to care through legislative efforts or bringing awareness to the children that are in need of this type of assistance?
We definitely collaborate with much bigger organizations that are doing a lot of the heavy lifting. For example, our past president, Colleen Coulter, is on the SciMac, the Science and Research Committee for Amputee Coalition. I am also a member working with the So Everybody Can Move kind of legislative grassroots movement that's happening. In fact, next month, we have an ACPOC team for the 28 by 28 challenge that So Everybody Can Move is putting out there, where you move to at least 28 minutes for the all 28 days of July, because it's a reference to having 28 states pass legislation protecting access specifically to sport-related prosthetics or orthotics or other devices for children and adults in 28 states by 2028, when we get to host the Olympics here in California. So we definitely are collaborating with a lot of the other organizations that are heading the fight. As a smaller organization, unfortunately, we don't have a legislative branch, but a lot of our members are actively involved in the fight to protect these kids.
That's great. And we actually had Nicole on, and she told all of our listeners about that movement. And I'm going to start an SPS team. And I know Pierre's going to be on it because he loves movement. He loves kids. He loves
We're going to have to go head to head. Oh, I love it.
That's what I'm saying. Team SPS against Team ACPOC. Yeah. We'll see who can A, move more, and B, I think there's a fundraising part of that too. So hopefully we can both work real hard and raise a lot of funds for that. It'd be really cool.
That'd be great.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. At the end, we always kind of open it up to you. If there's any topics that we didn't hit, or anything that you think our listeners would really enjoy to hear, kind of the forum's open for you.
Not particularly. We are on social media at ACPOC News. You can definitely follow us there for any upcoming webinars or any news as we start solidifying our schedule for the conference. But yeah, come check us out. It's a really fun conference, as Pierre mentioned, and it's an exciting group of people. A lot of the folks in ACPOC have become some of my close friends.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you.
To learn more about ACPOC or to learn about Phoebe's work at Rady Children's Hospital San Diego, follow the links in our show notes.
Thank you for listening to the O&P Check-in, an SPS podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did, be sure to leave a review and subscribe to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Have a question or topic suggestion? Email us at spspodcast@spsco.com. See you next time.